Hello everyone. We have now completed our interview with the new employee from Danone. So today's meeting is to discuss on what we learned from the interview and how we will proceed with the remaining part of the project. In our previous video, we discussed why we select Danone, how we contact the interviewee, and how we prepare for the interview. Since the interview has now been completed successfully, our focus today is on organizing the information we collected, the planning, the next step. I think the interview gave us many useful insight. We learned about the interviewee's role, their onboarding experience, the cultural adjustment, and some of the challenge they face as a new employee. These points will be very useful when we write our report because they connect directly to topic from our leadership management course. Today's discussion should focus on 14. First, we should summarize the key information from the interview. The second, we need to identify the major challenge mentioned by the interviewee. Third, we should divide the report section among our team members. And finally, we should discuss the presentation slide and set deadline for completion. Since Beck has been coordinating the project, I would like Beck to guide us through the discussion and explain what needs to be complete next.
Thank you, Hằng. So first, I would like to thank everyone to contributing to the interview process. I think the interview went smoothly and we obtained enough information to our report. Before assigning tasks, I would like to summarize the assignment requirement so that everyone can understand what we still need to complete. Based on the project instruction, our report needs to cover several major areas, and we must introduce the organization and the interviewee. We also need to discuss tenant vision, mission, and culture based on the information we collect. After that, we need to identify the challenge and difficulty faced by the interviewee. Then we have to connect those challenge to concept from our management cost, and the reports also require us to evaluate the solution suggested by the interviewee. We cannot simply repeat what they say. We need to analyze whether those solutions are likely to be effective according to leadership theory and the concept from the textbook. In addition, our team must propose our own recommendation. This means we should think critically and suggest alternative approach or improvement. Finally, we must evaluate what resource or condition are necessary for those solutions to work. We need to discuss whether the interviewee suggestions are sufficient or whether additional support is needed. To answer that the workload is distributed fairly, I would like to divide the report into 6 main sections. Before assigning the section, I would like to hear everyone thought about the interview and what information they found most valuable.
Uh, One thing I found interesting was the interviewee experience as a new employee, and many people are saying that joining a large multinational company is easy when you are high, but the interview showed that there are still many challenges during their adjustment period. The interviewee mentioned learning new system, understanding company procedure, and adapting to a new working environment. The challenges seem common for new employee, but they can have a significant impact on performance and confidence. And another point that stood out to me was the support provided by manager and the college. The interviewee emphasized that guidance from more experienced employee help them learn faster and become more comfortable in their roles. And I think this information will be useful when discussing leadership support and employee development. And the interview also showed the organizational culture play an important role. The interviewee described the Danone as a collaborative workplace where employees are encouraged to communicate and work together. And the observations can help us analyze how leadership and culture influence employee experience.
I agree with Thao. For me, one of the most useful parts of the interview was hearing about challenges faced by new employee. The interview explained that adapting a fast-paced environment can be difficult, especially when there are multiple tasks and deadlines. Learning new system while meeting performance expectations require good time management and strong support from supervisor. I also noticed that communication appear frequently throughout the interview, whether it was asking for guidance, uh, coordinating with college, or understanding expectation. Communication seem essential for success. This give us several opportunities to connect the interview finding to leadership theories that we have studied in class. Another thing I learned is that leadership is not limited to senior manager. Even team leader and supervisor can influence employee performance through communication, coaching, and feedback. I think our report should emphasize this point because they clearly relate to the course content.
Hi guys, I just want to say that I also found the interview useful because it provided some practical example of the workplace situation. Many leadership theories seem very straightforward when we study them in class, right? But the interview helped us see that how the concept apply in a real organization. So, for example, we should more often discuss employee motivation in theory. During the interview, we heard about how support, feedback, and recognition can influence an employee motivation and willingness to learn. We also learned that challenges are not always technical. Sometimes they struggle because they need time to adapt, build relationship, and understand organizational expectation. So in conclusion, I think that the example will make our report stronger because maybe we can connect the theory with some actual workplace experiences.
Thank you. Before we divide the report section, I would like to ask everyone a question. Among all the challenges mentioned by the interviewee, which challenge do you think was the most significant? Personally, I think adapting to a new environment was probably the biggest challenge because it affects many other aspects of performance.
I agree to some extent, but I think learning new system and processes was actually more difficult. The interviewees mentioned the Dalan has many procedures and tools that new employee need to understand. And even if someone have a good at communication skill, they may still struggle if they are unfamiliar with the system used by the company.
I think that's a good point. However, I think adapting to the organizational culture is even more important. A new employee can eventually learn technical system, but understanding how people communicate, collaborate, and make decisions often take much longer. Mm, If employees do not understand the culture, they may have difficulty integrating into the team.
I see both perspectives. For me, the biggest challenge was balancing expectation. The interview mentioned that there is pressure to learn quickly while also performing effective. That can create stress, especially during the first few months. Even if support is available, employees may still feel pressure to prove themselves.
Well, I think all of the challenges are connected because when a new employee needs to learn system, understand the culture, build relationship, and meet expectation at the same time, and that's why leadership support is very important during the onboarding process. And without guidance from manager and colleagues, adapting successfully would be much more difficult.
I think we should include this perspective in our report because it shows that workplace challenges are often interconnected rather than isolated. Thank you, everyone. So, based on the assignment requirement, I propose dividing the report into six main sections. The first section is the organization overview, include the information about Danone, the industry, and the interviewee role. The second section focuses on Danone vision, mission, and organizational culture. The third section covers the challenge and difficulty faced by the interview. The fourth section requires to connect those challenges to leadership management theory and the concept from our course. The fifth section focuses on evaluating the solution suggested by the interviewee and proposing our own recommendation. And finally, the sixth section evaluate the requirement need to implement those solutions successfully. So I will take responsibility for section one and section two. The section one is about the organization overview, and section two is the Danone vision, mission, and organizations knows cultural. I will also oversee the overall progress of the report and help coordinate the remaining section. If anyone needs support with research, theory application, formatting, or reviewing their work, feel free to reach out to me. And once everyone complete the section, I will combine them into a final report and make sure everything is consistent and well organized.
I think I can take responsibility for session three about the challenging and the difficulties. For this session, I will review the interview recording and identify the main issue mentioned during the discussion. And I also will organize them into categories and explain how they affect the interviewee work experience. And I will include direct example from the interview to support my analysis. And the final, I will prepare a summary table so that the information is presented clearly.
That sounds great. Hằng, would you like to take the section 4?
Sure. Uh, I will work on connecting the interview finding to management concept. Mm, I also plan to review our lecture slide and textbook to identify theory that related to the challenge discussion during the interview. For example, I may discuss communication, motivation, leadership style, employee development, and organization culture. My goal is to explain why these theories are relevant and how they help us understand the interview is experience. And I will also provide reference from the textbook to support our analysis.
I will handle section five. I will evaluate the solution suggested by the interviewee. I think it is important that we do more simply describe the solution. We need to assess whether they are likely to effective and explain our reasoning. I will compare the interviewee ideas with concepts from our course and discuss both strength and weakness. I will also develop several recommendations from our team's perspective. These recommendations should be practical and supported by leadership theory.
Okay, so there's only one part remaining, and I will take that the section 6 and focus on the implementation requirement. The interviewee mentioned several myths that I think it should have about the employee succeed, such as the support from supervisor, training opportunity, and the effective communication. And I will try to evaluate whether these requirements are sufficient and discuss what additional resource might be necessary. Moreover, I think I will have to explain how these factors contribute to the successful implementation of the proposed solution.
Before we move on, I have a question regarding the report. Do you think we should focus mainly on describing the interview, or should we spend more time analyzing it using theories from the course?
Uh, to this question, I think analysis should receive more attention. Anyone can summarize an interview, but the purpose of this assignment is to demonstrate our understanding of leadership management concept. So if we only describe what the interviewee says, the reports may become too descriptive. And the stronger approach is to explain why the interviewee experienced certain challenge and how leadership theory helps us understand those situations.
At the same time, we shouldn't ignore the interview content itself. Without sufficient evidence from the interview, our analysis may appear disconnected from reality. I think we need a balance between description and analysis.
I agree with Hung. So a good report should first present the interview finding clearly and then use the theory to analyze them. Perhaps we can use the structure where each challenge is followed immediately by relevant concepts. That may help readers follow our argument more easily.
That sounds like a good approach. It will also prevent repetition and make the report more organized.
Okay, hold on. I have another question for the group. So, when writing the report, do you guys think that we should rely mainly on information from the interview, or should we also conduct some additional research about Denon from external source?
Oh, I think we should do both. The interview should be our main source because the assignment is based on the interviewee experience and opinion. However, additional research can help us better understand the company and provide more context. Like, for example, information about Dalam value, culture, and leadership practice could support our analysis?
Uh, I I agree with Thảo. If we only use information from the interview, some section may be too limited. The interviews can only share experience from their own position, while external source may provide a broader view of the organization. That could help us strengthen our argument and recommendation.
I understand that, but I think we should be careful. The focus of the report is still the interview. If we include too much information from external source, we might shift intention away from the interviewee's experience. I think the research should only be used to support the interview finding, not replace them.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, and I think the interview should remain the center of the report, while the external information, they should provide supporting evidence and background information.
I also think using both sources can improve credibility. If we connect the interview finding with information about the dialogue culture or leadership approach, our analysis may become more convincing.
I think everyone has made valid point. So let you the interview as our primary source of information because this is the foundation of this assignment. And at the same time, we can conduct limited additional research to support our analysis and provide context where necessary. This approach will help us keep the report focused on the interview while still making our discussion more comprehensive and professional.
Everyone, I have a question. Since our interviewee is a new employee, most of the information we connected come from personal experience rather than a management perspective. So, do you think this will affect the quality of our report?
I don't think so. Actually, I think that's what makes the interview interesting. A new employee can tell us about the onboarding process, adapting the company culture, and the challenge they face in their first month. Those are things manager may not always talk about it.
I agree. Manager and employee usually have a different perspective. Manager often focus on performance and objective, while employee focus more on their daily experience. I think both perspectives are valuable, and in our case, the employee perspective is still very relevant to the assignment.
Hmm, that's true. However, we should remember that the interview only reflects one person's experiences and it does not necessarily represent every employee as a Denon. So we should be careful before making any conclusion.
That's a good point. Maybe we can mention that in the report and make it clear that our analysis is based on their interviewee experience.
So I think that is reasonable. And as long as we support our discussion and with evidence from the interview and some background research about that, our report should be fine. So anyway, let's move on and discuss the timeline so everyone know what need to be complete next. And I think having clear deadline is important because our report contain multiple sections that need to fit together. My proposal is that everyone completes their first draft within 4 days, and that will give us enough time to review and revise the reports before submission. After the first draft, submit, I will combine everything into one document and check for consistency. Then we can conduct a group review session and provide the feedback.
I I agree with this timeline, and I think we should also share our draft with each other before the final review. Sometimes another team member may notice gaps or area that needs clarification, and peer review can help improve the quality of our report.
I agree. We should also make sure that our writing style is consistent throughout the report, since different people will write different sections. There may be difference in formatting, terminology, and structure. Reviewing the report together will help create a more professional final document.
I would also would like to discuss the presentation slide. In my opinion, we should begin working on the slide before the report is completely finished. That way, can save time and avoid rushing near the deadline.
That is a good idea. So everyone else should provide the content, make the slide and review all the slide once they are complete. We should also keep the slide concise and focus on key findings rather than including too much text.
Yeah, and I think we should also decide how we will present. I mean, if everyone presents the sessions that you guys work on, it will be much more easier because each person already understands the content in the detail, and this approach also makes the presentation more natural.
Oh, good point. Each member can present one session, and the back can handle the introduction, and the last member would handle the conclusion. And that's good. Create a logical flow throughout our presentation.
Mm, Before we finish, I think it's important to discuss potential challenge that could affect our progress. One challenge is time management because everyone has other assignments and responsibilities. Another challenge is ensuring that all sections are connected and not repeated. Mm, to address these issues, we should communicate regularly and update each other on our progress.
I agree. We should also maintain a share folder and where everyone can upload their work. This will make it easier to track progress and access the latest version of the file. Good organization will save us time later.
Uh, sorry, guys. There's some problem with my micro. I think the regular communication is important as well. And if anyone has difficulty or maybe struggling with the task, yeah, just let the group know early. Don't wait until the deadline because if we know in advance, I think we can work together to solve the problem and make sure that everything stay on track.
So thank you everyone for your contribution. And today we review the interview, discuss the key finding and assign the report section, plan the presentation slide and establish the deadline. So to summarize, I will handle the section 1 and 2 and coordinate the final report. Thảo will complete the section 3 on challenge and difficulty. Hằng will complete the section 4 on the leadership theory. Bảo will complete the section 5 on solution evaluation and recommendation and will also lead the slide development. And Khang will complete the section 6 on implementation requirement. Everyone should complete their first draft before our agreed deadline. After that, we will review the report together, finalize the slide, and rehearsal our presentation. If we follow this plan, I believe we can complete the project efficiently and produce a strong final submission. Thank you, everyone, and let's stay in contact and keep each other updated in our progress.
Okay.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.
See ya. See ya.